management. I've been associated with SBI Mutual Fund for last 12 years. Today's topic, what has given to me is the package which has been announced by the government recently, the Finance Minister and Modi and our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. And the second is what is the kind of a economy what we are in, and what do we look at in terms of investments, and what should be our strategy for a long-term wealth creation. This is what the topic is, and this is what we start with. So as we said, that necessity is the mother of all invention. So whenever there is a crisis, the invention, something happens in order to come out of it, and that is what we have seen every time. So it was Y2K moment. So when it was 1999, so people were talking about 2000, and they said that all IT system will crash, all systems will crash, all software will become obsolete. There will be absolutely nothing which will work in terms of IT. The completely new software needs to be built out. The old one cannot be incorporated with the new one. And there was a lot of fear factor during that time. And hence, every time there was a new invention and Y2K movement went off, and something new got invented, and everything went off smooth, and there was absolutely nothing to get panic, and no business was get disturbed. So in the year 1991, when we were, as in India, was going through a very bad patch, at that time also in 1991, a lot of reforms came by the government of India, and that took off. And from nowhere, when we did not even had a money for even one day of lending or money borrowing oil, we did not had a reserves of even one day to import the goods. Actually, at that time also a lot of reforms bring in, FIIs came in, a lot of money came in. There was a liberalization. We opened up to FDIs, and the entire economy kicked out. And the best period of the economy was during that time, from 1991 to 1998. So 91 it has happened, 2000 it happened when our honorable Prime Minister, ex-honorable Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was shot dead. That time also there was a lot of panic, and they said that the India was entirely run by a single lady. And once this lady is not there, she has been shot by our own person in our own country. How do we have any belief in this country? And everything is got over, and nothing happens, and something other emerges always, and all these crises has been taken care of by something or other. So this is a massive healthcare problem, which is the worldwide everyone is facing. 7 billion people across world has got affected. I repeat, it is 7 billion people which have got across affected. And what is happening is now entire 120 countries have come together to fight against this massive pandemic disease, which is the world is got affected by. So what we are doing, one is that every single country, be it France, be it Italy, be it US, be it Germany, be it India, everybody is trying to make a vaccine for it. Everybody is trying to make an antibody for it. You all must be knowing about all this. So what I am trying to just say is that to develop a vaccine, it can take another 8 to 12 months. And to develop an antibody can take at least 3 to 6 months. It is just not happen overnight. So even if they come out with a solution, if they come out with some medical solutions, what do you have to do? First, you have to do a clinical test on the animals, and then you do a clinical test on the human beings. In order to test it, first you have to test in all different kinds of human beings, someone with a kidney problem, someone with a heart problem, some with a diabetic. So you have to keep testing the solutions, the medicines on every different kind of a human body. And once you get positive result, then only you can bring it out into the market. So getting a vaccine into any country can take 8 months to 12 months. Getting antibody will take 2 to 3 months for sure. So the big things actually happens only when there is a crisis. So the world has come together. Nobody is fighting among each other. Everybody has come together and trying to find out some vaccine or some antibody to prevent it. So what is the solution to it? How to cover this coronavirus, or how do we open up our economy? Until and unless our economy does not open up, things becomes difficult. So we need to get into a normal situation. So let's just understand what are the different countries who have done in order to open up the economy at that time. So one was that we have a strategy like Wuhan, that in China, there is a city called Wuhan, which you all must be aware of. So you do a complete lockdown. This is one strategy. The second strategy is like you do like a North Korea. So North Korea, what they did, they did a massive amount of testing, and they said there is a strict quarantine. Anybody who got some symptoms, anybody was asymptomatic, they all got they got strictly quarantined, and the North Korea came out of it. The third is like we adopt a Japanese strategy, where the Japan people are extremely hygienic, personal hygiene they take care of. They keep washing their hands throughout the day. They keep wearing masks before they leave the house. They maintain other hygiene distance also. So what India needs to do is India need to do all these three strategies. In some of the areas, we need to do a complete lockdown. In some of the area, we need to do a lot of testing. We need to do a strict quarantine, be it Dharavi, be it other slums area of in Bombay. If I take the names of be it Jogeshwari, be it Ville Parle, be it Andheri West, the K Ward, the Valli Naka, the Dharavi side, the Kurla side, we need to do a lot of testing. We need to do a complete lockdown. And on the other cities, other part of the cities, we can open up with a lot of personal hygiene taking care of. So what the city will actually not stop. It is a matter of 15 days or a month more that people will start coming out. There will be a lot of invention, like we wear a helmet today and to before riding a bike or a scooter. So we will start wearing protective gears, those what do you call the face shield we call it as. तो फेस शील्ड ऐसा होता है, एक प्लास्टिक का पूरा कवर आपका पूरा फेस को कवर कर लेगा और आपको सांस लेने में प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा उसमें. So you get that kind of a face shield which the big doctors in the hospitals wear actually in order to conduct the entire day duty. So these kind of a face shields are getting available in the market at a very low rate of 300, 350 rupees. We'll start wearing masks. We'll start wearing protective gears. We'll be absolutely taking care of a lot of sanitizers will be used in office. People will desanitize it and they will start be using it, and everybody will have a thermometer across, be it the housing society, be it office, and a lot of things will happen. And the best part of it in this crisis, in last 45 days, what we have seen is that every single business has found some other solution to the economy is a digital solution. They have found some digital solution. Today, we would not have been 3 months, we would not have been thinking about that we can do an investor call sitting at our home. People sitting, investors sitting at their home, they can listen to what they do not have to travel a kilometer or 2 kilometers. They don't have to travel to a hall, wait for half an hour, and then the session starts. Today, we are using a Zoom thing. So a digital solution will come into everything, every single company, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Flipkart, whether it is delivery of alcohol, whether it is delivery of any essential goods. Everywhere digital technologies is taking place. Every single company is trying to see how they can digitally do it. So a company like Maruti or a company like what do you call Hero Motors or Bajaj Auto will come with some digital solution where you sitting at your home, you can see the models, everything in the house only, and you can digitally you can book your vehicle and the vehicle can be delivered to you. So these kind of a lot of things which will come out and inventions will come out in every crisis. People try to come out of into some of the other invention which will happen. What we will see, there can be a massive spending on the healthcare side. The healthcare infrastructure will can go through a completely under change. So a lot of things, 30 years, 40 years, the government, the private, both have not actually participated in the healthcare side. We have very limited hospitals. We have very limited treatment rooms. We have very limited infrastructure into regarding operation theaters or ventilators or the oxygen cylinders. So with this pandemic, what we will learn is this kind of a pandemic can come in near future also, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. We need to be better prepared, and the government will be spending hugely on the healthcare side, not only on the metro cities, but on the smaller cities also. They will try and understand what is the density of a population of a state or a district put together, and how many numbers of hospital need to be there for in order to take care of every single person. So what we see is there will be a completely sea change in the healthcare structure in India in next 2 to 3 years. So you will see that the demand of pharma companies, the demand of medicines, because you will be open to more treatment. People will be having hospitals, so there will be more treatment. There will be more people getting into it. There will be more consumption of the pharma, and hence we can see the pharma side a very bright future for the next 3 5 years. That massively it will go way beyond what we can think today. So what the current economy is undergoing through is we are going through three types of a shock. So one is called a demand shock, the second is the supply shock, and the third is the oil shock. So let me take you through 1, 2, 3. All the things is the demand shock is that since people are sitting at home, they are not moving out, so they are not going to the shopping mall, they are not going out to buy any automobile, they are not going to buy their clothes, they are not going to watch a movie. So there is a demand shortage of demand. The demand has come down because of lockdown, and we are facing a demand shock completely overall. The demand is not taking place at all. A month like April until 15th of May, we can say that 45 days the entire India was under lockdown. So hence there was absolutely no demand other than the essential commodities, pharma, FMCG and IT. The second thing is, the second shock is what we are going through is the supply shock. Even if there is a demand for certain products, the supply is not being made by the manufacturers because the manufacturers is not able to complete the manufacturing process. They are not able to manufacture the entire goods. Maybe of the labor problem, maybe the raw material is not available in the factory, maybe that some of the parts is coming from the foreign countries like China or Germany or US. So until unless a small part of the entire component of the entire complete product does not reaches India, they will not be able to make it into a finished good. And that is why we call it a supply shock. So we are facing a demand shock, we are seeing a supply shock. And on the third side, we are also seeing an oil shock. What is an oil shock is that what has happened, the world was under lockdown. So US was under lockdown, Italy, France, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, China, for a long time it was under lockdown. It has opened up recently. So there was absolutely no demand of oil, number one. So when there was no demand of oil, what has happened is there was a price war which happened between the Russia and the UAE, that is the Arabian countries, Saudi countries, which supply oil. So these two countries actually were not able, they wanted to sell the oil as much as they can, and they wanted to generate revenue. In order to generate more and more revenue, so they said drilling is not a problem for us. We can extract oil as much as we want. We have huge reserves, so that drilling is not an absolute problem. The only problem is that is there any demand in the country? So they were not ready to cut down on the production. Since both the Saudis and the Russians were not ready to cut down on the production, what was happening is the price of the oil was coming down because there was absolutely no demand for oil in the world. The world was not consuming at all. And the price at one point of time, the future bonds of 9x oil went down to below zero. It went to negative. Means you take the oil also, you take money also of lifting oil. Actually, what has happened that time was in US, the entire reservoirs, तो oil को आपको store करने के लिए tanks चाहिए. You cannot just store a liquid into any other form. You need tanks to store a petrol or a oil kind of a stuff. So US ka all reservoirs were filled to the brim and they did not had a place to store it, and hence the US was not picking any kind of a US was not ready to pick any kind of a quantity. The other major countries were locked down. There was no demand absolutely, and the prices went down. It is, people think that do we import oil? So if we import oil, it is good for our economy. It is good for our economy, but at the same time, after a certain level, if the price starts going down of the oil, it is not very good for our own country as well. Why? I'll tell you. For example, if the oil is between 45 and $60, it is good for every country. It is good for India also at 45, $50, because with every drop of price in the oil, we save $1 billion in a year's time. So $1 fall in the barrel of oil saves billions of rupees for India as a country. But what happens is if the oil comes below 20 or if the oil comes at 25, 20, so lot of oil companies actually get shut down. They cannot operate at that level. So the entire US actually works on the shale gas. So shale gas is a kind of a oil only, is a very close substitute of oil, but they manufacture at their own level so that they do not have to import from Russia or Saudis. So the US manufactures shale gas and they uses that shale gas. Once if the oil is available at less than 20, the shale gas the cost of operating or the cost of drilling is very high compared to the oil sea. So it is 30, 35 or $40. So when this kind of a shock came, so US my shale gas completely got closed down. Nobody could operate shale gas, and there's a huge, massive job losses over there in US because of this shale gas. These kind of a shale gas kind of a industry cannot be shut overnight or cannot be opened overnight. It takes time to shut down also. It takes a lot of time to again get back to open it also. So if somebody has to shut down for only a week's time or 15 days, they do not shut down generally. So even only if there is have to shut down for a longer period of time, that time they shut down. So there will be, that is a kind of a oil shock we saw in the economy. So we spoke about the demand shock, the supply shock, and the oil shock. To come out of these kind of a crisis, what the world, I'll just come talk about one or two lines of the world, because everything is linked today. India is not standalone. Every country, what is happening is linked to the Indian economy as well. So the Fed has printed currencies. The Fed has started printing huge currencies. They have started giving huge stimulus. They provided $6 trillion into the economy. They provided another 10% of the US GDP as a fiscal stimulus. They are giving a lot of monetary policy, monetary stimulus. Also, the monetary stimulus for people, general people, general audience. I'll just tell you what is a monetary policy. A monetary policy is the rate where the RBI, kind of the central bank of the country, reduces the rate. For example, our rate has been reduced from 6% to nearly 3.5%. The repo has come down. So this is the kind of a rate at which the bank can borrow from the central bank. So where the US was at 1.5%, 2%, they have come down to 0%. So it is a very effective way to bring down the liquidity into the system. In order to bring down the liquidity into the system, the Fed is the central bank of US, or you call it as RBI of US is known as Fed. So Fed did a lot of monetary policy. They brought down the interest rate at 0%. So people, anybody who can buy at 0%, they started buying corporate bonds. They started buying the junk bonds also, and the government took it all over in order to provide the economy में liquidity to the SMEs, the big corporates, everybody who was facing a tightening in the liquidity because of the problem which was there of the lockdown or the virus system. In order to bring down the growth back, there is three types of growth can be brought back. What are the three measures which can be taken in order to get the growth back? Is one is the physical infrastructure, the second is the social infrastructure, the third is the digital infrastructure. India as a country, we are extremely good in digital infrastructure, and we have almost the entire Silicon Valley in the US. What you can see is dominated by the Indian software people. So we have companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, Accenture, Deloitte. Everybody is based out of India. We are one of the best digital infrastructure provider to the entire world, and this will become much bigger and bigger, and this will give you a lot of employment to the digital side. This will create a lot of earnings for the people, jobs creations, and then hence a demand will be created in the economy through a digital infrastructure, because every single company in the world today wants to try to do how they can do business through digital mode. So digital world will actually move, and the demand on the digital side will be looking very good. The second is the physical infrastructure. So physical infrastructure means that in order to, when you build a road, so you try to build a highways, you try to build those Jayamalas or the national coastal roads. So you try to build a infrastructure, or you try to build the rail lines. Whenever you do this kind of a thing, you employ a lot of huge laborers into doing these kind of a work. So मनरेगा के under उन लोगों को jobs मिल जाता है, and they start getting daily wages. So 160 rupees ka daily wages is, the government has recently announced that they will be start paying 202 rupees, and Piyush Goyal and Gadkari Saab, they all both are saying on the railway side or on the infrastructure wise that the government is spending much more on the roads construction. So 25% of the laborers have been employed more in order to give those kind of wages to those migrant laborers who have lost their jobs into the urban cities kind of a thing. तो अर्बन में किसी का अगर नौकरी चला गया फॉर एग्जांपल, और वहां पे उन लोग बेरोजगार है जो आप लोग टीवी में देख रहे हो, तो a large part of them is getting consumed in order of way of physical infrastructure. तो रास्ता बना रहे तो उन लोगों को कंस्ट्रक्शन में उन लोगों को लगा दिया और उनको डेली वेजेस देने लग गए 200 रुपया 202 रुपया. The best part of India is that the kind of a demographic we have, the kind of a population we have, the kind of a cultural diversification we have, the kind of a population we have, and the large amount of population, 60% of the population staying in the rural side. The best part of India is that this virus has not traveled to the rural side or to the labor side or to the interior part of the India. It is restricted to the major metro cities like Bombay, Delhi, Ahmedabad, Baroda, Pune, sorry, not Nasik. So these kind of metro cities, Hyderabad. So 7-8 cities constitute nearly 85% of the cases which has been positive tested. So the physical infrastructure on the rural side is got unaffected, and the rural it was a crop time also. The kharif crops ka time tha, un log ka harvesting time tha. So the harvesting the government opened up the rural economy, and they said they can continue with the harvesting part. they can do the cutting of it. And a lot of announcement has been given in last 2 days by the government of India on the farmer sides on the for the rural structure. So there has been a lot of amendments in the laws also for the farmers. Down they can sell across states. They do not have to sell their own crops within their own states only. They do not have to sell to a particular what do you call the consolidator of the village or a district or a state. So they do not have to forcefully sell it to the government also. They can sell it through e-commerce also. By e-commerce in the sense one, they can sell it anywhere in India and they can get it delivered and वहाँ कहीं से भी वो पैसे उठा सकते हैं. So they will start getting a good price because of that as the monopoly of buying from the farmers goes off. So this is good actually for the farmers. Farmers get a lot of incentives also, which you all might have heard. I'm not covering all those points. 3,000 रुपया मिला, किसी को 5,000 रुपया मिला, उन लोगों को बीज लोगों के लिए उन लोगों को 2 लाख करोड़ रुपया का उन लोगों को क्रॉप इंश्योरेंस दिया जा रहा है. These people have been given a lot of loans against it. And people who had already taken loan, they were given 3 months of moratorium. Moratorium का मतलब कि 3 महीने तक उनको कोई ईएमआई नहीं देना और नेक्स्ट 3 महीना भी अब उनको कोई ईएमआई नहीं देना होगा. तो उनको अब 6 months का उन लोगों को छूट दे दिया गया है. And since they have some more time to pay off the loans, they can store these kind of a cereals, they can store the wheat, they can store the pulses, and they can sell it at a much higher rate down the 10 days down the line or a month down the line and can get the better price for their harvesting. So it is actually very good for the farmers. Since 60% of our population is in the rural side of the India, so if their income starts going up, the demand of the rural India starts going up. So when such a large population start consuming, so what has happened? What happens is the consumption actually of the demands boost. So India, try and understand, we are by nature we are a consumption country and we are not an export oriented country. So हम लोग export नहीं करते China के जैसा. So China is totally dependent on export side. We are totally dependent on our own self consumption. हम खुद ही self consumption करते हैं और हमारा population ही इतना बड़ा है कि हमारा self consumption भी होता है तो हमको demand का कोई problem ही नहीं होता है सब. So that is why we do not try to export much also. We do not look, we try to, but we don't have that. We need to do a lot of things. So when Modi came now, he talked about a lot of things. So he spoke about land, he spoke about labor, he spoke about capital, and he spoke about law. So there are 4 things which he is talking about. It is just not, don't go into that number of 20 lakh crores. So forget about the 20 lakh crores for a moment. Let us understand what does this mean? Why does he use the word land? Why did he use the word called law? So what is happening is today the entire world is against China. When people are very angry on China because they have lost their citizens, they have lost their business, they have lost employment. I can just tell you the kind of employment which was generated in last 11 years, the kind of employment which was generated in last 11 years in US have gone jobless in just 45 days. In last 45 days, everybody have got to jobless. Whoever, the number of people who have got employment in last 10 years put together. So this kind of a massive problem which came into US, and that is why every single country today, be it Europe, be it US, be it other countries, Australia, New Zealand, everybody has started thinking that we cannot be dependent on a single country. We cannot be dependent on the entire supply chain management or the entire logistics system or the entire supply of the country's requirement cannot be dependent on a single country like China. And there need to be a diversification, number one, for all practical purpose, because if one country gets locked down, the entire world get affected. So this is one way. The second is that people are getting annoyed with the kind of some are blaming, the Trump is blaming China that it is a man-made one. They have deliberately done it to because there was a trade war between the US and the China. There was a trade war going on. In order to converse all this, they are very angry, and the US government is very held bent that they want to shift to some other countries also. So India has a big opportunity. India will just not get like that. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि चाइना से उठ के लोग इंडिया में आ जाएंगे इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए. People would not like to come down to India until unless there is a lot of things to be cleared in India. So the government of Mr. Modi has done a lot of meetings. They have called all the chief ministers of the state. They did a lot of meetings. They have penned down the lot of things. In order to welcome these kind of companies, you need to give them a lot of comfort into land acquisition. You need to give them a lot of comfort to the labor laws. I'll just give you an example. In India, you just cannot work more than 8 hours. A single laborer has to work 8 hours. So if you have to work for 24 hours, that means you need 3 shifts of 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. Whereas a country like China can work for 12 hours, cut 2 shifts, 12 hours and 12 hours, 24 hours. But India cannot do that, 2 shifts. India needs minimum 3 shifts. India does not allow women to work into a manufacturing setup during the late nights or the late evenings hours. So अगर कोई मेरे गारमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंपनी है तो वहां पे जो स्टिचिंग का काम है वो लड़के अच्छे नहीं कर पाते हैं. So when men started manufacturing shirts in India, they failed actually because वो स्टिचिंग पार्ट हम लोग अच्छा नहीं कर पा रहे थे. We grow best cotton in the world. We have the best cotton. We do the best yarn also. We have all the capacities, but on the stitching side, that is why we are not making finished goods. A country like Bangladesh also took orders from us. A country like Indonesia took orders from us. A country like Thailand took order from us. So they have understood with the past experience we have in India. We understand this very well. Now we are very well geared and we are getting. India is swiftly moving into these kind of things, and he is talking of that whatever the laws need to be changed in the labor side, we need to change it very soon, and we cannot get into these kind of a political drama which we always have in this country. The biggest problem is that. So we, in order to avoid that, we need to get uh, labor law reforms, we need to get land reforms, and we need to change some of the laws in order to set up a factory and to conduct businesses. The taxes part was already taken care of last year only. In the mid-year, the government FMR Sitaraman, she announced that the new anybody who comes up and set up the new setup in country and set up a new manufacturing unit, the taxes will be not 25%, it will be 15% only. So these kind of companies are looking at coming down to India in a very big way. We need to do this very fast, and we need to sign up with these companies, and India can be a complete different kind of a country in next 5 years or 10 years. So this can be a Y2K moment for us, that where we completely shift our gears from a rural agricultural based country into a manufacturing global supplying based country. So this is a big opportunity which is lying ahead of the Indian economy. So this is what happened in 1991 also. This kind of a liberalization was opened that time, and where people are talking about, every country is talking about that we do not need globalization. India is the only country at this point of time in the entire world who is welcoming everyone and saying that we are looking for globalization, but we need to do certain things. So this is not just a beginning of what the government have started doing it, but the government is surely on the right tracks, and the announcement which they are making, these are some of the very sensible decisions which they are making. Now coming down to the 20 lakh crores, let us start from the March onwards. This 20 lakhs ka paisa have started coming into our economy. So the RBI the first stimulus was given to by RBI in the 25th of March, and there was a huge liquidity crisis. That time our RBI governor, Mr. Shaktikanta Das, he came down and he gave 3.5 lakh crores as a liquidity to provide to the system. Then after that, again, 3,50,000 was quickly absorbed by the economy. There was a huge requirement of the economy to a tune of 10 lakh crores of the liquidity, and that 3.5 lakh got consumed. So what has happened is another, he came down 6th of April, or sorry, 9th of April or 12th of April. I don't remember the date. Roughly, I'm telling you, 9th of April or 12th of April. Again, RBI governor came and he provided another 1,50,000 liquidity to the system in order to provide to the MSMEs, the SMEs, and the farmers, and to buy bonds to the NBFCs companies, and to the stressed companies also, as well as the companies which are facing the bankruptcy problem. So this kind of a liquidity was provided by the RBI. So RBI always does an open market operations, that is OMO, what we call it as, to provide liquidity into the system. We are not getting into nitty gritty. We are just trying to understand how does it affect our life. So we call it as an open mouth operation. We can say OMO as open mouth operation. Let us read the lines what RBI governor is saying. What is the words, or what is the hidden meaning between the lines? So the RBI governor Shaktikanta Das, he said, uh, he said that whenever we are watching this economy very closely, this is not an end of the stimulus package. As and when the liquidity is required, we will always be ready to provide liquidity to the system. So how he said, the words he said is very important. We need to understand. He said this is just not an end, it is just a starting point, and we are closely monitoring this. As and whenever there is a liquidity issue in the economy, we are there and we'll provide the will provide liquidity to the system. The best part today is that we are sitting at all-time high on our forex exchange reserve. So our foreign exchange reserve is at our all-time high. We have a reserve of $475 billion, much more than what people have a foreign exchange reserves. A country like Germany or France or UK do not have these kind of a foreign exchange reserves what we have. So we can use this kind of a money. We have a huge amount of gold which is lying with the government. We have not mortgaged it. We have already freed that kind of a gold once. We have done it in the past, but today all these kind of a gold is there. So as far as the economy is concerned, that our economy is extremely strong. So this makes our country actually very strong, and the government, if required, can do a lot of more fiscal kind of a stimulus, and on the monetary side of a stimulus also, in order to break down the economy back. So what has happened is, let us understand where did the growth now has to come from. So the growth has to come from, there are three types of a balance sheet. There is an individual balance sheet, जैसे हमारा और आपका घर का एक बैलेंस शीट है, हमारा एक नेटवर्थ है. दूसरा होता है एक कॉर्पोरेट बैलेंस शीट, जैसे एक कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट है, लाइक हिंदुस्तान लीवर को ले लो, चाहे आप वेदांता जैसे कंपनी को ले लो, तो उनकी एक कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट है. देन वी हैव अ गवर्नमेंट बैलेंस शीट, वी हैव अ स्टेट गवर्नमेंट बैलेंस शीट, वी हैव अ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट बैलेंस शीट. Now somebody has to come and spend a lot of money in order to boost the expenditure, boost the infrastructure, boost the employment generation, so that once the people get into employment, they get money, they start consuming, the demand of the other products goes up, their production goes up, and the vicious cycles keeps going on, and there is a multiplier effect into that. In order to bring that multiplier effect, one person has to spend, whether it is individual, whether it is corporate, or it is the government. So the individual and corporate today has absolutely no money to spend. So we do not see much of a capex happening from the corporate side, or investments. Capex means the investment, building up new factories, building up new production outputs. So these kind of infrastructure, the corporates is not ready to put today, and we are not trying to put up a new setup on the factory side on an individual basis. So somebody has to come. Who has to come now? It is the government chance. A government has to spend a lot of money in order to bring the infrastructure. So they have to give employment to the migrant labor. They have to take care of the farmers. They have to take care of the SMEs. They have to provide liquidity to the SMEs. So what this government has done day before yesterday, they have given a lot of money for the SMEs and the small, medium enterprises and the medium enterprises. So I'll just give you certain numbers. कि credit growth, let us understand credit growth. What is credit growth means कितना companies ने, corporates ने बैंक से loan लिया. तो 18-19 में 18 in the year 18-19 the company took 11 lakh crores. 11 lakh crores people have borrowed money in order to build up an economy. In the year 1920, the last year, the corporates have borrowed only 6 lakh crores. तो 6 लाख करोड़ रुपया लिया था, तो 5 लाख करोड़ रुपया वहीं पे डेफिशिएट आ गया था. तो क्रेडिट ग्रोथ हमारा ऐसे ही स्लो डाउन हो रहा था. व्हाई देयर वाज अ स्लो डाउन इन द क्रेडिट साइड इन आवर साइड? बिकॉज द बैंक्स आर फ्लश्ड विथ लिक्विडिटी, but banks are not ready to take risks today. So the banks does not want to give this money to the corporate. They are fearing that अगर ये corporates को हम दे दिया, ये SMEs को अगर मैं पैसा दे दिया, या एक छोटा कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री को मैंने पैसा दे दिया, तो इन लोगों का बिजनेस नहीं चला, so they will not be able to pay back to me, and hence the banks were putting all this money with the RBI, and RBI is having a surplus of some 8,75,000 to 9 lakh crores is lying with the RBI. तो जब बैंक अगर कोई लिक्विड पैसा होता है उसके पास और वो यूज नहीं कर पाता है, अगर वो पैसा किसी को लेंड नहीं करता है, तो वो पैसा क्या करता है, वो जाके आरबीआई के पास रख देता है. और ये बैंक आज के दिन क्या कर रहा था कि लास्ट 1.5 महीने में किसी को पैसा नहीं दे रहा था. जिस लोगों को, आप लोगों को 200 कॉल आता होगा पर्सनल लोन पे या क्रेडिट कार्ड पे, सडनली देखो आपको कोई कॉल नहीं आ रहा है, ना क्रेडिट कार्ड के लिए कॉल आ रहा होगा, ना आपको कोई पर्सनल लोन के लिए कॉल आ रहा है, क्योंकि बैंक आपको लेंड करना ही नहीं चाहता है. बैंक ऐसे कोई भी एंटरप्राइजेस को लेंड नहीं कर पा रहा था. उनको ये डर लग रहा था कि ये पैसा नहीं दे पाएंगे और मेरा एनपीए बढ़ जाएगा. So this announcement what happened in day before yesterday is that the government came forward and they said कि ठीक है, आप standard SMEs है, जो distressed companies है, you can give a credit flow and we will give you as a guarantee कि अगर उनसे पैसा नहीं आया तो गवर्नमेंट बोल रही कि हम आपको पैसा देंगे. So for example, they give a 3 lakh crores or 6 lakh crores all put together. They have put 3 lakh to 4 lakh crores for the small enterprises and the corporate size to buy bonds, to buy equity. So they have done a very comprehensive thing. They have not said only equity, they did not say only debt, they said debt and equity both together, and hence it is a very comprehensive package by the government, which is looking very good at this point of time. The only thing is that the government, what they have announced, how good they can execute and how fast they can execute this on the ground level, that will make the decision on the economic. The depending on the economy will depend whether they can execute all these plans or not. So the plans are extremely good. The execution part need to be seen of. The NBFCs also is like 30,000. Government has given full guaranteed. 45,000 crores they said you can give it to the NBFCs, where they will give a partial guarantee. So अब बैंक को कोई डर नहीं है. So banks can take a prudent decision. They can go from a case to case basis, and they can give loans to these kind of SMEs who needs the money, because to buy the raw material, to get back to the laborers, they need a working capital. In order to fund all these kind of a requirement, these kind of a corporates now can go to the banks and can lend it. Banks need to check, and on a very prudent way, under no pressure. If they don't come under government pressure or any kind of influence, if they go on a merit of cases, they can give money and the recovery will be very good, and the government need not spend what they are talking at. They are assuming कि ये 5 लाख करोड़ मेरा लगेगा, but ये आज नहीं लग रहा है. अगर ये डिफॉल्ट हुए तो 5 लाख करोड़ रुपया गवर्नमेंट को देना पड़ेगा बैंक को. आज कुछ नहीं देना पड़ रहा है गवर्नमेंट को. So the government is saying to the bank कि आप दो. बैंक के पास अब एक गारंटी है पीछे कि ये पैसा नहीं दिया तो मुझे तो गवर्नमेंट से पैसा आएगा ही. So now the banks is getting comfortable. The banks is now, let us see how PSU banks and the private banks react to this. Why it is very important to provide money to the NBFCs? Because NBFCs runs the economy. NBFCs is non-banking financial companies. So these are like quasi banks. What do you mean by quasi bank? ये बैंक जैसे ही होते हैं लेकिन बैंक नहीं होते, इनके पास बैंकिंग लाइसेंस नहीं होता है, बट ये आपको सब कुछ दे सकते हैं. ये आपको बिजनेस लोन दे सकते हैं, ये आपको हाउसिंग लोन दे सकते हैं, ये आपको कार लोन दे सकते हैं, ये आपको पर्सनल लोन दे सकते हैं. तो ये सब कंपनीज होती है, जैसे इसको एनबीएफसी बोलते हैं. जैसे श्रीराम ट्रांसपोर्ट, आज इंडिया का 80% ट्रांसपोर्ट जो लॉरीज और ट्रक्स है उसका फाइनेंस श्रीराम ट्रांसपोर्ट कंपनी जो एनबीएफसी है वो करती है. या आपकी कंपनी लाइक एचडीएफसी लिमिटेड है, इज एन एनबीएफसी who provide liquidity to the housing sector. आप लोग सबको जानते होंगे एचडीएफसी लिमिटेड, इट इज एन एनबीएफसी, प्रोवाइड हाउसिंग लोन टू बाय अ हाउसिंग. तो अगर ये एनबीएफसी के पास आज पैसा आ जाए तो दे विल स्टार्ट गिविंग मनी फॉर द रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर्स. The real estate sectors can complete their incomplete projects. Once the incomplete projects have been taken off, उसमें पूरा requirement आ जाता है, वो पूरा real estate cycle चलने लग जाता है. Other factors like आपका ceramic tiles है, marbles है, वो सब use होने लग जाते हैं. People, बैंक का loan disburse हो जाता है full amount. People start paying the EMIs. So the entire economy starts running because of this. So NBFCs provide furthermore money to the system and which runs the economy. तो आज के दिन हो क्या गया है कि हमारे पास एक गाड़ी है जिसका चारों चक्का का हवा निकल गया था. So we called it as a deflation. So we have deflated the economy. In order to inflate this economy, this push of liquidity was very much essential. तो ये गवर्नमेंट ने जो लिक्विडिटी पुश किया, ये किसी को पैसा ऐसा दान में नहीं दे रहा है. आपका इनकम टैक्स रेट कम नहीं कर रहा है, आपको ऐसा नहीं बोल रहा कि आप इनकम टैक्स आपको पे करना नहीं होगा. आपका इंडिविजुअल टैक्स रेट जो है 43%, जो सुपर एचएनआई का है वो उसको 43 को बोला कि 30% देना होगा. कि आपको ऐसा कुछ नहीं बोला कि आपको जो टैक्स उन्होंने इस बजट पे लगा दिया था ऑन डिविडेंड्स की, डिविडेंड्स जो भी रिसीव होगा उस पर टैक्स लगेगा, वो सब आपको कोई छूट नहीं दिया. तो द गवर्नमेंट इज नॉट स्पेंडिंग. एट द सेम टाइम द गवर्नमेंट हैज पुट दैट 10 rupees additional on excise on the petrol and diesel in order to get some tax collection because of the loss which has happened during this 45 days lockdown. So government has played a beautiful move. Oil का प्राइस कम हो गया था, तो दे केप्ट द प्राइस कांस्टेंट. वो हम लोगों को आदत हो गई है 75 रुपीज में ऑयल लेने का, तो हम 75 रुपीज दे रहे हैं, और उन्होंने वो 10 रुपया जो कम करना था या 14 रुपया उन लोग कम कर सकते थे ऑयल का प्राइस कम होने के कारण, वो 14 रुपया और 10 रुपया उन लोग ने कंज्यूमर को पास नहीं किया, and they have increased the excise and other cess duties in order to bring up the government revenue. तो इस तरह से गवर्नमेंट ने अपना रेवेन्यू कर दिया. अगर आप पूछोगे कि इसका एंड क्या है, द एंड इज दैट until unless we do not come up open up the entire economy, और जब तक हम लोग को नॉर्मलसी नहीं मिल जाता, जब तक हमको कुछ मेडिकली कुछ और नहीं मिल जाता या इसका कोई और नया इनोवेटिव वेज नहीं मिल जाता हाउ टू कंबर्सन this 2 months or 3 months we will see that this kind of a volatility will be there in the economy, and next 1 year 2 years or 3 years we will see that जब भी हम लोग एक क्राइसिस से आता है, जो मार्केट ऑलवेज और द मार्केट इकोनॉमी में इतना कुछ ले आता है, हर कॉर्पोरेट अपने लेवल पे कुछ करता है, इंडिविजुअल अपने लेवल पे कुछ करता है, गवर्नमेंट गिव्स लॉट ऑफ रिफॉर्म्स, एफडीआई खोल देगा, एफआईज खोल देगा, लार्ज कॉर्पोरेट कंपनीज को बोलेगा इंडिया में आके इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए, एंड देन देयर इज अ बिग बूस्ट इन द इकोनॉमी. सो इकोनॉमी अलग होता है और मार्केट अलग होता है. नाउ कमिंग डाउन टू मार्केट, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड मार्केट इज नॉट हाउ इट मूव्स, हाउ द इकोनॉमी मूव्स. कभी भी वो उल्टा हो सकता है, कभी भी कोरिलेशन कैन बी देयर, देयर कैन बी नो कोरिलेशन आल्सो. तो ऐसा हो सकता है कि इकोनॉमी बहुत खराब हो, मार्केट बहुत अच्छा हो, क्योंकि मार्केट इज ऑलवेज फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग, वो पास्ट लुकिंग नहीं होता है. मार्केट मार्केट ये नहीं देखता है लास्ट 2 महीने में क्या हो गया, मार्केट ये देखता है कि नेक्स्ट 3 साल में या 5 साल में क्या हो सकता है, ये कंपनी कितने पैसे बना सकती है. उस बेसिस पे कंपनी की एक वैल्यूएशन होती है, और कंपनी की जो वैल्यूएशन होती है, जो स्टॉक प्राइस की वैल्यूएशन होती है, उसका नेक्स्ट 25 ईयर्स और 30 ईयर्स का प्रॉफिट या कैश फ्लो के बेसिस पे होती है. तो उनका 1 क्वार्टर या 2 क्वार्टर का रिजल्ट में वो 2-5% ऊपर नीचे होता है, उससे किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. बट लार्ज काइंड ऑफ इकोनॉमी have decision is taken places on the basis of 30 years of the revenue which they generate and the forward looking economy. So as per our condition of the country is, we are much stronger than most of the European countries, and we can look at a good market, but we can go till the time the normalcy does not come, be it 2 months or 3 months or 4 months. We have to go through this volatility, and we should take it as a pinch of salt. As we invest for next 5 years or 10 years, I promise that there will be a large amount of wealth creation which will happen, because nobody wants to take anything today. Nobody is buyer into this economy. Everybody is very fearful into this kind of economy. And when there is a fear, a lot of fear, and prices जो बहुत नीचे आ गया है, तो सारे जो traders है वो निकल गए हैं. Very serious kind of investors get into this kind of a market, and these investors do not sell at a rise of 10% or 20%. They hold on, and they know the right value of the price of a stock of the company. Till that right price does not come, they keep holding it, and the kind of a wealth which is being created is phenomenal. So मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा कल सुबह जाके आप मार्केट में कुछ खरीद लो. So you will get a lot of opportunity in next 6 months, or by the time October November तक, दिवाली तक, आप क्रिसमस तक आपको बहुत opportunity मिलेगा माल खरीदने का. With every market correcting downwards, you can see an opportunity to buy in tranches. Be a very disciplined kind of an investor, and if you are disciplined investor in this kind of a market, that is a time when the wealth is being created. And अगर तेजी पे हमेशा मार्केट में खरीदेंगे तो वेल्थ नहीं क्रिएट होता. वेल्थ क्रिएट होता है इस जैसे इकोनॉमी में, जब साइकिल में आदमी जाके they take a bold step and they see a 5 years or a 10 years and they buy into it. So I can say next 10 years में क्या होगा कि दो तरह का ग्रुप्स ऑफ पीपल होंगे, नॉट ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ कलर, नॉट बेसिस ऑफ द कास्ट. हिंदू मुस्लिम नहीं होगा, गोरा काला नहीं होगा. दो तरह के इन्वेस्टर्स हो जाएंगे, बच जाएंगे. एक इकोनॉमी का एक लार्ज पार्ट होगा जिसके पास इक्विटी बोल के कोई चीज ही नहीं होगा, उनके पास कभी इन्वेस्टमेंट ही नहीं होगा. और एक पार्ट ऑफ इकोनॉमी के पास होगा, एक पॉपुलेशन के पास, पार्ट ऑफ अ पॉपुलेशन के ऊपर होगा जिसके पास बहुत बड़ा इक्विटी का एक्सपोजर होगा. दे विल बी इन्वेस्टिंग इन इक्विटी. दीज पीपल हु विल हैव इक्विटी starting today, in next 10 years, they keep buying it, they'll become so big that the income difference, or what do you call a status differential, between a person who will have no equity and a person who will have equity will be far phenomenal. So I recommend that people should, मैं खुद personally equity खरीदता हूँ. मैंने म्यूचुअल फंड में SBI में हूँ, तो I have always invested in mutual fund, and you should invest in equity over a longer period of time, thinking longer period of time, say 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. आपका रिटायरमेंट अगर 10 साल बाद है, या आपका रिटायरमेंट 20 साल के बाद है, आपका कोई गोल, आपको 15 साल तक पैसा नहीं चाहिए, तो बड़ा पैसा आपको एफडी नहीं करना चाहिए. 3% 4% आपको एफडी में मिलेगा. आज 5-5.5% है. In next 2 months, this rate can go down. I am talking of SBI. मैं आपको बता देता हूँ, since I am from SBI बैंक. तो लास्ट 15 दिन से एसबीआई में लोग बाग सब कुछ विड्रॉ करके बैंक एफडी कर रहे हैं या बैंक में पैसा रख रहे हैं. तो 1.5 लाख करोड़ दिन का आता है, दिन का 1.5 लाख करोड़ आता है. कल 2.5 लाख करोड़ आ गया, 2.5 लाख करोड़. कल लोगों में फियर फैक्टर आ गया कि कुछ नहीं चलेगा, सब कुछ खत्म हो गया. जब ये पॉइंट आता है ना, जब कुछ नहीं चलेगा, सब खत्म हो गया, अब यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं दिखते, आगे कोई टनल में लाइट नहीं है, वो एकदम मार्केट का बॉटम हो जाता है. वहां से थोड़ा करके आप एसेट एलोकेशन करिए. 60%, 70% इक्विटी में रखिए, 30%, 40% बॉन्ड्स में रखिए, डेट फंड्स में रखिए. आपके पास बाकी वेल्थ भी होते हैं. आप घर एक आपका वेल्थ होता है, प्रॉपर्टीज आपका वेल्थ होता है, गोल्ड आपका वेल्थ होता है, आपके पास एम्प्लॉय प्रोविडेंट फंड होता है. आदमी खाली ये सोचता है कि मेरे पास 20 लाख है और 20 लाख पूरा इक्विटी में डाला हुआ है। ऐसा नहीं होता है। आदमी का लिक्विडिटी टोटल नेटवर्थ का पोर्टफोलियो में देखना चाहिए कि प्रॉपर्टी अगर उसके पास 2 करोड़ का है, उसके पास गोल्ड 50 लाख का है, उसके पास प्रोविडेंट फंड आज के दिन 60-70 लाख रुपए का ऑलरेडी क्रिएट हो गया, ग्रेचुइटी उसका पास 50 लाख का क्रिएट हो गया, तो उसका टोटल नेटवर्थ हो गया अगर 4-4.5 करोड़ में, अगर वो 25 लाख रुपए इक्विटी है, तो आप टोटल परसेंटेज निकालिए ऑफ योर टोटल नेटवर्थ कितना परसेंट इक्विटी में है। तो इक्विटी आई थिंक विल बी अ लॉन्ग टर्म वेल्थ क्रिएटर. At the same time, I'm not saying jump tomorrow morning and buy. You have next 6 months to buy. आप 6 महीने में every dip in the market, you should take an opportunity to buy good stocks, buy good companies, buy good mutual funds. This is a very good time in order to build a portfolio. And second is what I would like to say is on the debt side, do not get scared on the debt side. There are a lot of things on the debt side also. There is something called GSEC. There is something called AAA good corporate bond funds also. So GSEC क्या होता है? I'll just give you one line. I'll take 1 more minute to finish it off. GSEC is something, those government papers, the papers which are issued by the government of India. Central government papers issue करता है या फिर state government paper issue करता है. और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का फाइनल लायबिलिटी सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के पास ही होता है. अगर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट डिफॉल्ट करता है तो थोड़ा लंबा प्रोसेस है, लेकिन पैसा पूरा सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को ही देना पड़ता है. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के नॉट डिफॉल्ट. तो जब तक आपका कंट्री बैंकरप्ट नहीं होता तब तक ये गारंटी है कि आपको पैसा आपका जरूर मिलेगा. कैपिटल लॉस नहीं होता. तो दिस इज कॉल्ड गवर्नमेंट. The papers which or the security which the government issues are called government securities or it is known as GSEC. तो ये गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज ट्रेड होता है और सबसे ज्यादा लिक्विड होता है. इंडिया में दो चीज सबसे ज्यादा लिक्विड है, जो कि आप आधा रात को 12:30 बजे भी एक सामने वाले को रखोगे तो इमीडिएटली आपको कैश मिल जाएगा. एक होता है गोल्ड और दूसरा होता है गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज. तो गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज हमेशा ट्रेडेबल होता है. एट एनी पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम देयर इज अ लार्ज नंबर ऑफ फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स हु आर रेडी टू बाय दीज G6. सो देयर इज अ बिग मार्केट ऑफ G6 जो रिटेल में नहीं होता बट म्यूचुअल फंड के थ्रू होता है. तो आप एक म्यूचुअल फंड में एक स्कीम होता है डायनेमिक बॉन्ड फंड. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा आप SBI का लीजिए, हमारा परफॉर्मेंस दो सबसे अच्छा है, लेकिन फिर भी मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, स्कीम समझा रहा हूँ. मैं कोई स्कीम अपना प्रमोट नहीं करने आया हूँ आज आप लोगों के बीच में. तो देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड डायनेमिक बॉन्ड फंड जो GSEC में भी इन्वेस्ट करता है और कॉर्पोरेट पेपर्स में भी इन्वेस्ट करता है. जब तक GSEC बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, जब फियर लग रहा है कि थोड़ा सा कॉर्पोरेट साइड में अगर फियर हो सकता है, तो वहाँ पे वो GSEC में रखता है पोर्टफोलियो और GSEC में काफी पैसा बनाया जा सकता है. 15 से 20% भी बनता है. जैसे जैसे इंटरेस्ट रेट कम होता है, अगर RBI इंटरेस्ट रेट कम कर देगा तो GSEC में काफी ज्यादा वैल्यू बढ़ता है उसमें. तो उसका पेपर का वैल्यू बढ़ जाता है. दैट इज हाउ यू मेक मनी इनटू GSEC. और नहीं भी पैसा बना, नई रेट इंटरेस्ट कट हुआ तो 6% तो कहीं नहीं गया, which is far better than your FD which you will put it at 5 years or for 7 years whatever you time you do it. उससे अच्छा आप आज के दिन GSEC में डालिए. और जैसे ही आपको लगेगा, फंड मैनेजर को लगता है कि अभी GSEC का स्टोरी ओवर हो रहा है, तो वो बहुत हाई क्वालिटी AAA कॉर्पोरेट बॉन्ड फंड्स ले लेते हैं. तो डेट साइड में आपके पास सेफ प्रोडक्ट्स है, इक्विटी साइड्स में आपके पास सेफ प्रोडक्ट्स है. एंड आई थिंक द गवर्नमेंट विल जस्ट नॉट सिट क्वाइटली. Looking at the history of Modi, whenever there is a crisis, he always comes back and he always revives the economy, and he has some magic on the entire world. And I am very confident that he'll be able to pull a large number of companies from US and Europe into India this time. And that is why he spoke about land and he spoke about law. Do not dismean these two words. These two words are much more important than 20 lakh crores what his people are talking of. I'm open with questions. Sujit bhai, if anybody would like to take questions, please send me those, read out those questions. I would like to answer them.
Okay, so I'll read out the questions on behalf of everyone. I've only got some questions. Gaurav, am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so the first question which most of the people currently have is, why has the market reacted negatively after the package? Is it because of the implementation which are still to happen?
No, after the package, the market has gone down because of the two reasons it can be. Number one reason was the day Modi sir said 20 lakh crores, that day the market went up by 5.5%. SGX Nifty was up. तो उसका नेक्स्ट डे जो सुबह था वो 2.5% मार्केट अप था. 2.5% the index was up. Post Nirmala Sitharaman, our finance minister, she came at 4 o'clock after the market closed down. By that time, the market discounted that news that she will talk positively, and the market gave that 2.5% up. Number one. Number two is that the entire market is not only dependent on the packages which has been talked about. There was a globally, the market rate corrected overall. So the overall global sentiment was weak. US, Germany, so we call it CAC, DAC, and FTSE, that is UK, Germany, and France, and Nasdaq, that is US. So all these four major markets of the economy of the world have corrected, and hence we also saw some major some corrections. So it was not a major correction which we saw.
Okay, again, second question. When do you see this crisis getting over? And as you rightly pointed out, currently the bank rates are so low, and a lot of hindrance as far as debt mutual fund are concerned after the Templeton debacle. So, what should one do right now currently if it's looking for something apart from equities?
No, I'll come down on the debt side. मैं आपको दो तीन चीजें समझाना चाहता हूँ. The thing is that first part of the question first let me answer. How long will it take come to the normal? The normalcy, it is difficult for anybody at this point of time to say when the normalcy will come. So until unless we do not develop an antibody or an antidote for it, or we do not say that the bodies there's a lot of testing and all, and we have said that we have done a major part of our testing in our country, and people who looked some weak or people who had a weak body, we have quarantined them, and the strong bodies have been opened in the economy. Until and unless such things happen, or we may take at least 2.5 months to come down to 100% complete normalcy. We may take 3 months also. So complete normalcy can be expected between 0 to 3 months or 4 months time, till the time that antidote does not come. We are not waiting for the antidote. Actually, we are talking about the antibodies. There are two different things. Antibody वो होता है टीका जैसा होता है, जिसको आप इंजेक्शन लगा दोगे तो आपको वायरस नहीं होगा, आपका बॉडी स्ट्रांग हो जाता है, इम्यूनिटी लेवल आपका बढ़ जाता है उसके अगेंस्ट. और एंटीडोज वो होता है कि दवाई जब आपको हो जाता है तो उसके बाद आपको इंजेक्शन लगाया जाता है ताकि आप उससे ठीक हो जाए. तो हम लोग एंटीडोज का हम लोग वेट नहीं कर रहे. एट दिस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम वी आर लुकिंग फॉर एंटीबॉडी फर्स्ट, and we are looking for more and heavy testings at our country level. So we do not want any kind of a politics. People should be free. What is seeing we are seeing between West Bengal, central government, these kind of a politics issue should not come. This can become a hindrance actually. Number one, part of one of your question. The second part of your question was your Templeton debacle. You said people are scared on the debt side. People are worried about debt side. So there is nothing to worry about the debt side. I can tell you, being in SBI mutual fund, I've been working for 12 years, the kind of a papers which we take. So what has happened in Templeton was an AMC. Out of those 44 में एक या दो AMC ऐसे थे, those who took always a high risk papers into their portfolios. They had a expertise, or they had the expertise of managing those kind of a high risk papers, and they have done wonderful job in last 10 years or 15 years in making money for the clients. So they used to take some weaker papers which comes at a higher yield so that the clients can make higher yield, so more than a bank FD. So people were like 8%, 7% अगर bank FD उस समय मिल रहा था, so they tried to beat that bank FD by 2%, 3%, so that an investor gets 9.5% post expenses. So they were looking at very high yield paper of 11%, 12 paper. So they were taking papers which were AA minus, or a weaker paper than AA also. Whereas there are a lot of mutual funds which has been segregated or been marked by the SEBI and has been categorized, where you say that not all funds are credit risk funds. They are good funds also. So there are certain like corporate bond funds or a short-term fund where it is mandatory to take 100% AAA portfolios. So AAA portfolios comprises of good companies like Tata, the Birlas, the Ambani's takes it, the Mahindra, the Godrej, the HDFCs, the banks. So they are very good quality of high quality of papers. For example, if you say SBI corporate bond fund or a banking and PSU portfolio or SBI short-term kind of a fund, these are absolutely safe papers. There is no problem of liquidity. They can be sold overnight. Such need harsh steps is not required in order to, if the redemption comes overall in a day. The entire portfolio, 80% of the portfolio can be sold out within few seconds. So if you give 3 minutes, the fund manager is in an ability to generate the value of 80% of the portfolio into a liquid bank account में पैसे आ जाएगा 3 मिनट के अंदर. So this kind of a high liquid portfolios, other AMCs and our AMCs also manage. So we work on a 3 principle. We call it as SLR. What is that? SLR. S stand for safety. First, we look at safety of the client's money, investors' money. Then we see as L, that is called liquidity. What do you mean by liquidity? Means अगर वो पेपर मेरे को बेचना पड़ा तो मैं आज बेचूंगा और मेरे पैसे खड़े हो जाने चाहिए immediately. That is what we call as liquidity. The amount which I take in order to cash the securities or the papers, that is liquidity L. And R is returns. So people always try to look at first, सब कोई को R चाहिए first. So they look at return first, then they look at liquidity, and then they try to see safety. But client should now take some lesson from this kind of a thing. They should look at safety first, then they should look at liquidity, then they should look at returns. So mutual fund is like a quasi bank. We offer all kind of products which a bank can offer, much more than that also. So अगर आपके पास saving account में आपको पैसा रखना है, we have a equivalent product. If you want to keep a money into a current account, we have a equivalent kind of a product. If you want to do an FD, we have a equivalent kind of a product. So we can put money into overnight fund, liquid fund, ultra short-term fund, or corporate bond fund. So depending upon the need of the client, we have different products, a much better product than bank FDs.
One more question, a little bit on the technical and audit side. Post ILFS debacle, has Amphi or Sevi issued in debt papers?
Sorry, I missed it out. After post Sevi ILFS, yes.
After ILFS debacle,
ILFS.
has Amphi or Sebi revised any guidelines for investment in debt papers?
So
to all your AMCs.
There are a lot of guidelines which have come. So every day we have to report to it. In any case, we had to report that also. So a minimum part of a liquidity has to be maintained into the portfolio. And a lot of guidelines are there on the technical side. It will be too technical for me to tell it and for people to understand. But there is a large amount of guidelines have come. The SEBI first thing they do is कुछ भी problem होता है ना वहाँ पे पहले तो guideline ठोक देता है. These guidelines are not very good also at times. It becomes a hindrance to manage a particular fund. For example, liquid fund में आपने 7 days का आपने exit load लगा दिया एक दिन की जगह और mark to market का आपने norms change कर दिए. The valuations of the securities का आपने norms change कर दिए. So everything has become much more strict also. So these kind of things have become very strict by the SEBI. तो SEBI तो पहले ही boundary लगा देता है, समझता ही नहीं है. मैंने बच्चे को क्रिकेट खेलने गया, अब बच्चा क्रिकेट खेलेगा, एक दिन तो बॉल लगेगा ना, उसको हाथ पांव तोड़वा के आएगा, एक दिन हाथ पांव तोड़वा के आया, बोला कल से तुम क्रिकेट खेलना बंद कर दो, क्रिकेट इज बैड. तो SEBI कभी कभी हिंडरेंस हो जाता है हमारे काम में, तो बहुत ज्यादा रेगुलेशंस ले आते हैं, तो थोड़ा रेगुलेशंस कम होने चाहिए.
Okay, what do you think about the pharma sector now? Have you think the pharma sector has only run up much, or you think there is still much in the pharma sector?
I'll give you a broader answer. I will take this as a pharma also and other sectors also. I'll include some of the sectors. I'll give you first try and understand. The companies will get valuation. Those companies, somebody has to unmute actually. Those companies will get valuation where we see that the balance sheets are very strong. The managements are good. Any company where we see there is a good management, they have good cash reserves in their balance sheets. They do not have problem into their daily cash flows. The business are not affected to a larger extent. So the business is still happening into the lockdown situation also. Those kind of companies will do very well or will be very safe to invest at this point of time if you want to invest today. For example, I'll give you company like FMCG companies or a pharma companies. These two sectors have not got affected to a larger extent as far as the demand is concerned or as the supply is concerned. So FMCG में हुआ है 5 to 7%, that is normal. So आज नेस्ले का दही लोग बाग ज्यादा खरीद रहे हैं, नेस्ले का मैगी लोग बाग 40-50 पैकेट स्टोर कर रहे हैं, मैगी मिल नहीं रहा है आपको. उन लोग दही जो घर पे जमाते थे दूध नहीं मंगा रहे हैं, उन लोग तो नेस्ले का कैंड दही ज्यादा खरीद रहे हैं. So these kind of FMCG products हो, चाहे हिंदुस्तान लीवर हो, डाबर हो, मैरिको हो, so the FMCG products demands are actually not very much affected. Number one, they have huge cash flows, they have huge cash reserves with them, and these companies are mostly multinational companies, so they can, if required, they have a very strong parents where they can raise money at a very low rate. जैसे मैंने बोला US में 0% है, स्विट्जरलैंड में नेगेटिव रिटर्न पे पैसे मिल रहा है, तो नेस्ले स्विट्जरलैंड बेस्ड कंपनी है, हिंदुस्तान लीवर या कोक या पेप्सी जो है, ये सब कंपनीज आपका US बेस्ड कंपनीज है, ये सब 0% पे अपने कंट्री पे पैसा ला के इंडिया में ला सकते हैं, इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं. दे आर एक्सट्रीमली स्ट्रॉन्ग मैनेजमेंट कंपनी, स्ट्रॉन्ग कंपनीज. दे इन्वेस्टेड फॉर 100 years, 120 years. तो आप कोलगेट देखोगे इस मार्केट में अचानक से 8.5 टका ऊपर गया. Hindustan Liver hitting new high, Nestle is hitting new high. So, and then on the pharma side also, as I said, we will see a massive change in the healthcare infrastructure side of our country next 2-3 years. And as I said, market is always फॉरवर्ड लुकिंग. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कल का कल 40% फार्मा का डिमांड बढ़ जाएगा दवाई का, बट ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ नेक्स्ट 5 years जो है demand can go up by 100-200% or can go multifold also. So looking at next 5 years or 10 years, market is discounting today and people are looking for good pharma stocks. तो आपका इसका मार्केट में भी आप देखोगे सिप्ला है या फाइजर है, चाहे सैनोफी है, एबेट है. So all these companies are also into a race of making antidotes. They are into a race of making vaccines for this virus. So all these companies will benefit hugely because if they come out with, they're almost on a completion verge. So Abbott said कि announced कि हम लोग ready है. Abbott is a US based pharma company which is available and listed in India. Sanofi is a company which actually makes monopoly है, वो कैंसर के लिए एक ही कंपनी है Sanofi जैसा फार्मा कंपनी जो इंजेक्शंस बनाती है. So all these kind of companies, Cipla हो गया. So we have seen a massive run into these kind of pharma companies and pharma looks promising for a longer period of time. So ऐसा कोई सट्टा खेलने मत जाइएगा कि आज डालो और सोचे कि 6 महीने में फार्मा में पैसे बना के 7वें महीने में बैंकिंग स्टॉक्स ले लूं. ऐसा मत कीजिएगा. So whichever place you get into it, please be a very disciplined investor. And if you are a disciplined investor, you will never lose money. And the third is the IT sector. The IT sector, I said that there is a huge orders which we will see coming into the IT. Any company which was not digital savvy or any company which does not have a sale line or how to do the sales through digitally. So those companies are giving order. They all want to get into it. They are thinking that पहले भी ऐसे काफी सारे पैंडेमिक डिजीज आए थे. पहले एबोला आया था या और कुछ अदर डिजीज आए थे, 2-3 और स्वाइन फ्लू आए थे. So if these kind of a disease comes in future also, or this kind of a virus comes in future also, so these companies want to get ready in terms of digitalization. So you will see with artificial intelligence, and you see the other major data, what do you call, data analysis systems. So because of all these, you will see much more into new softwares, new digital solutions, new softwares, and the IT industries looks very good. In IT, the beauty of it is that the clients, or sorry, the employees does not need to come down to office every day on a daily basis. So there was a statement by TCS some 15 days back. So TCS gave a statement 15 days back saying that in next 5 years, we will ensure that if we can run today our entire business without zero problem, and none of them are coming to office, we will ensure in next 5 years, 80% of our staff will work from home permanently. We will cut down on our office expenses. We will leave those offices wherever we have taken it on rental, and we'll have huge savings on that also. Anand Mahindra is coming out with new situations. So I can only tell you with one thing for sure, and one thing is guaranteed, that this economy will come very strongly, number one. Number two, the way the business was happening in last 2 years or 5 years or 20 years in India, that will go through a complete change. That system will change, process will change, and the way people are talking will change. So मैं आपके ऑफिस में आता था आपसे बात करने के लिए. अब कहीं 2 महीने के बाद आपको उससे बात करना होगा तो हम लोग जूम में आपस में ऐसे ही बात कर लेंगे एक दूसरे से. We will not come to each other office to talk or to discuss anything. So the way the business will happen, it will change.
So I'll take the last question. What's your view on ETF?
ETF is various types of ETFs are available. आप ETF बोलोगे तो ETF का कोई मतलब नहीं होता. ETF is just an exchange traded fund जहाँ पे expenses बहुत कम होते हैं compared to a mutual fund, but they are not actively managed funds. उसमें एक baskets लिया जाता है. For example, there is Sensex ETF or a Nifty ETF. उसमें कोई फंड मैनेजर कोई कॉल नहीं लेता है. तो सेंसेक्स में फॉर एग्जांपल अगर 30 स्टॉक्स है और जो भी वेट है, अगर रिलायंस इंडस्ट्रीज का 14% वेट है, एचडीएफसी बैंक का 9% वेट है, आईटीसी का 4% वेट है, हिंदुस्तान लीवर का 6% वेट है, तो एज पर द वेट ऑफ ऑल द 30 स्टॉक्स ऑफ द सेंसेक्स वी रेप्लिकेट दैट. हम लोग आंख बंद करके उसको कॉपी कर देते. वी बाय ऑल 30 स्टॉक्स. अच्छा है बुरा हम उसमें दिमाग नहीं लगाते ईटीएफ में. So you buy an index. So if you have a call on a Sensex, तो आपको लगता है सेंसेक्स ऊपर जाएगा तो मैं पैसे बनाऊं, सेंसेक्स नीचे जाएगा तो मैं पैसे गवाऊंगा, वैसा कोई प्रोडक्ट चाहिए तो आप ईटीएफ ले सकते हो, सेंसेक्स ईटीएफ. और निफ्टी ईटीएफ अवेलेबल है. तो निफ्टी इज 50 स्टॉक्स एंड सेंसेक्स इज 30 स्टॉक्स. देन यू हैव बैंकिंग ईटीएफ जिसमें खाली बैंकिंग स्टॉक्स है. Then you have PSU ETF, जिसमें सिर्फ PSU कंपनीज के ETF है. Then you have Nifty Next 50 ETF. माने 50 से लेके 100 का जो मार्केट कैपिटलाइजेशन के बेसिस पे जो कंपनीज है उसको बोलते हैं निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50. तो निफ्टी नेक्स्ट 50 का आप ले सकते हो. Then there is a one very good ETF which I personally like very much is एक है क्वालिटी ETF, क्वालिटी 30 स्टॉक्स ETF. तो इंडिया का जो क्वालिटी स्टॉक्स है वो 10 पैरामीटर्स पे चेक किया जाता है. On the basis of the management, on the basis of the books of accounts they meet, on the basis of the product they manufacture, on the basis of money which they spend on research and development, on the basis of the cash they have in their balance sheets, the reserves they have in the balance sheet, how strong the parent is, and how good the governance of the company is, whether they have the ability to grow, whether they have the eagerness to grow. एक होता है एबिलिटी, आप में एबिलिटी हो सकता है ग्रो करने का, बट आपको काम करने की इच्छा ही नहीं है. बहुत सारी कंपनीज के मैनेजमेंट में ऐसा प्रॉब्लम दिख रहा है कि कंपनी बहुत अच्छा है, वो ग्रो भी कर सकता है, बट मैनेजमेंट इतना लेजी है, बोलता है इतना ही पैसा कमा रहा है ना, हमको और नहीं कमाने का इच्छा है. तो these are the parameters on the basis of the company gets a point. तो उसमें ऐसा इंडिया का टॉप 200 क्वालिटी कंपनीज को पहले छाटा जाता है. जो भी 200 में जो टॉप 30 रैंक होल्डर्स होंगे, माने एक क्लासरूम में 200 बच्चे, जो भी 30 जो टॉप जिसका स्कोर होगा मार्कशीट के बेसिस पे, वो टोटल स्कोर जो मिले हर कंपनी को वेरियस पैरामीटर्स के बेसिस पे, जो फर्स्ट टॉप 30 है उसका एक ETF है. तो वो चेंज होता रहता है हर 4 महीने 6 महीने में, बट जो भी टॉप 30 कंपनीज ऑफ इंडिया होगा वो उसी में इन्वेस्ट करेगी. तो आज के दिन अगर किसी को इन्वेस्ट करना है तो MNC कंपनीज देखना चाहिए उन लोगों को. तो इंडिया में 3 MNC कंपनीज अवेलेबल है. एक SBI ग्लोबल फंड है जो कि MNC कंपनीज ही खाली लेती है. तो ऑल दीज MNC कंपनीज में आपको ये 3 बेनिफिट मिल रहा है कि मैनेजमेंट बहुत अच्छा है, कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस का इश्यूज नहीं है, दे हैव ह्यूज कैश रिजर्व्स विद देम, कि कंपनी इंडियन कंपनीज के पास बहुत सारा रिजर्व्स है उनके पास, and they have the ability to come out of this kind of a problem, and they have a expertise of 100 years 200 years of doing business. So these companies are extremely strong, and I just love MNC companies. So आप क्वालिटी 30 लो, चाहे SBI ग्लोबल फंड लो, तो और ऐसे दो मिलते हैं आपको बिरला और UTI के पास. 3 ही म्यूचुअल फंड के पास ये MNC फंड्स हैं.
Any more questions coming up? Okay, last I'll just take 2 minutes. Some enlightenment on gold, because gold आप देखो is currently what 45-46,000. Do you think it will go up?
Gold is like an insurance. जब आप गाड़ी खरीदते हो तो आप हमेशा एक गाड़ी का इंश्योरेंस खरीदते हो. तो जब आप पोर्टफोलियो बनाते हो तो आपको एक इंश्योरेंस लेना चाहिए अपना पोर्टफोलियो का. तो 5% और 10% of the portfolio can be into gold. Do not try to get into trade into gold actually. तो यहाँ पे जब तक ये अनसर्टेनिटी है पूरा वर्ल्ड में विथ वायरस और ऑयल, तब जब तक अनसर्टेनिटी है तब तक गोल्ड का प्राइस ऊपर जाता रहेगा. फिर वापस आप देखोगे कि गोल्ड का प्राइस नीचे आने लगेगा. तो अब 6 महीना, साल भर या 2 साल का व्यू में ले रहे हो तो गोल्ड अच्छा लग रहा है आज के दिन. बट अगर आप लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ व्यू से लोगे कि 5 साल 10 साल में गोल्ड में बैठा रहूंगा, 10 साल में मैं पैसा वेल्थ क्रिएट करूंगा, तो आई थिंक गोल्ड इज नॉट अ गुड एडवाइस टू बाय. बट 6 months 1 year if you have a short term goal, if you want to do it, but वो बोलते हैं ना कि मत करो, it is better to have a wife than.
Okay, so thank you Gaurav very much. Thank you for enlightening us.
Thank you.
And I'm sure people know what they have to do and where to invest for long term and short term. And if required, we will keep on troubling you to enlighten us in future also. We this
Sure,
PV
sir.
Investment Bhagwat Guidance Cell is a SEBI registered investment guidance cell.
Thank you so very much.
Sundays, and we have audience of on an average about 100 of them coming to every meeting. Although we have more than 1,000 members with us, but सब आ नहीं पाते, तो 100-150 तो definitely होते हैं. So we
Thank
would
you.
love
I hope
to
I have
come.
not disappointed you all. I
No,
hope
definitely
I have
not.
been of some of importance, also gave you some information to make your weekend. Thank you so very much.
Thank you Gaurav. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.